Hey YouTube land, all those people interested in bikes, today's the day we start a project. This is the project that I call the salt bike. It's a snowy, cold day in January. I need a bike that can go out and get dirty on the streets even when there's salt. So what I'm going to be doing is putting together from my parts that I've harvested from a few Schwinns a salt bike. And basically the idea is to kind of take the worst of the parts that I've scrounged together and put it on the worst of my frames. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So we have a 1974 opaque blue Schwinn Continental, significantly repainted. So a lot of this area of the bike was in really bad shape. So I've repainted it. It looks good until you look up real close. So here, not repainted, repainted. It's not quite a perfect color match. But this frame has a slight indication right here that it may have seen some trouble. It's not cracked, but between that and the damage on the fork that I'm going to show you over here, we think this bike frame isn't the greatest. So it's a perfect candidate for a salt bike. It's got a thick crust of paint. Now this fork, well, this is a perfectly good chromed fork that I got off of eBay, and it is aligned. This is not. No matter how hard, I even took it to a bike shop. Maybe you can see, whoops, maybe you can see that it just isn't exactly perfect. Look at that slant. So this is the fork. This is the frame for the salt bike. It is going to be a collection of parts. So here we have a crank. This one happened to come off of a Continental. It had the most rust of any of my Schwinn Ashtabula one-piece cranks. Polished up pretty nice, actually, but this is rust. And in here, in the parts bins, we're going to cobble together basically the worst headset and the worst bottom bracket. So that's the idea behind the salt bike. Okay, so we're going to get to work. We've done a dry fit on the steer tube of some components. Again, this is the salt bike. We still want it to be good though, let's be real. So this was my worst headset, and I actually had to replace all the bearings in these bearing cages because they had, I don't know, about 3 or 4 in the top, 2 or 3 in the bottom. The bearings had corroded. And my thinking was, hey, you know, if I replace a few, replace them all. So, so this is fresh bearings here in here. And I believe with that dry fit, I have the right order. So I'm going to grease this up, and we're going to put this this steer back in the bike. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to put this into time lapse here and see how that goes. Yeah, okay, so it's the next day. It's still snowy and cold outside. You can see in the time lapse that I did get the steer tube together, had to take it apart because I flipped the bearing in spite of the dry fit. And as I was building it up, I realized I forgot the shifter as a part of this, which detoured me. So took a little detour. I dug out my very worst shifter and overnight derusted it. As happens with Schwinn stuff, it's actually pretty good once you get it into a little bit of surface rust removal. Polishes up really nice, but this one was the grodiest. I also cut the tab off here because uh, this side shifter, this is beyond repair. The rust on here, if you can kind of see that, it's really deep. So I'm going to just harvest this for these parts down here, which are in pretty good shape actually. And this is going to be a 5-speed build, if I didn't say. So I am now all set here. This feels great up front. Headset's really very good with new bearings in the bearing cages, and everything quite nice here. So salt build is on the way. We're going to do the bottom bracket now. And that's going to about do it for this first chapter. We'll get that basic assembly together, and then we'll start working on wheels and chains and things like that in the second episode. Before I put the crank on, I thought I'd show you how I assembled this bike from the worst of my parts. And as we discussed, even the worst aren't actually that bad. But the shifter is from a 1972 Continental Cool Lemon that I just got. The left side for the front derailleur is really crusty. This was a really crusty shifter, but overnight soak last night shows the parts pretty good. That same bike, which is over here, Cool Lemon, I have to figure out what I'm going to do with that frame. It's not that great. But this crank, the inner, again, although it was rusty, it actually came back. Although there's a lot of pits. If you look really, really close, it's not the greatest, so a good candidate for the salt bike. The bottom bracket is put together. So there was a girls' bike, Varsity, over there, which I may build for my wife. That donated this piece here, as well as the bearing cages, but I had swapped the lock nut during another build that I did. So we actually have an assemblage of 3 different bikes, 2 Continentals and a Varsity coming together here on this bike, along with some of the hardware from this bike itself. So again, best of all this Schwinn stuff, even the worst is pretty good. It cleans up and it's going to make a functional bike.